Well, thank you, Pamela. Now, it'll showcase an abundance of fashion, food, and music for all to enjoy. A queer exhibition like no other, as well as the declared Josie Vogue. That's the two-day first annual Feathers Festival scheduled for Friday the 18th and Saturday the 19th of October. And to tell us more, we're joined by activist, philanthropist, and entrepreneur Thami Kotlolo, and he's the founder of the prestigious annual Feather Awards. Thami Dish, very good morning to you.
We're taking this again.
Not to you, okay?
Good morning, right, yeah, again. But it's that time, you know?
Yeah. So good to see you, man.
Good to see you too.
I mean, we've grown accustomed to the Feather Awards, which, are the biggest event on the LGBTI community, particularly on the entertainment calendar. Now, you've added the festival, the two-day festival.
Yeah.
What's the aim of this festival?
I mean, I think the awards on their own as a 2-hour or 3-hour program that happens only once a year is not enough. A platform for us to be able to put in a lot of our issues or to, have some kind of big queer celebration. So, and it only makes sense after running like the awards for 10 years that in the 11th year, one would want to extend it into a festival, and this is like a direct response to everybody else who said, how do I participate? How can I get involved? I'd like to come and perform at the Feathers, or I'm an artist. I've got this painting that I've done. I've got this exhibition that I've been putting on. There are many things that queer people are doing on the ground that I think just need a platform for them to be showcased, but also to experience them and celebrate, they great.
So basically,
great
you're going beyond the glitz and the glamour of the actual award ceremony to take the products of gay people out there. Hey?
Look, I think the awards play their own unique part and in driving a message and also having a conversation. I do think that we need to have a longer and a bigger conversation, and it cuts across all kinds of activists who will come into that space. So this is purely for us to be able to come together in one room, in a safe space, to come together in one room and make sure that we exchange some of, our great work that we do and how we can collaborate, partner, and do more great work on the ground. It's just another way we try and make sure that the conversations continue.
And I'm sure when you sit down with your team at conceptualization stage and plan for the subsequent Feather Awards and the Feather Festivals, you come up with different dimensions that you want to add or change or remove from the actual ceremony and festival. What is it that you want to change, that you keep on changing every year to make it the bigger and the better event that it currently is? I
think the conversation must become a bigger message. The activism part of it is more important for us because we've gone past the entertainment and the fantasticness of the awards. We need to get to a point where you can have an activist from Uganda who they're currently struggling with a bill that's being tabled there for killing gay people, LGBTI people on these spaces. We need to get to a point where we can have those conversations, and the festival and the awards try and table those things. How do we get to a point where we start having discussions with legislation? Let's interrogate it. Let's look at lawmakers and find out what is it that they can do to unpack the current law and that make it easy for us to access our rights. So
what you're telling me now is nothing new. I mean, we've been talking about this all these years, and still gay people, LGBTI community are still marginalized. They're still discriminated upon. And what is it that needs to be done really so that the message reaches whosoever needs to reach effectively? See,
I think for me, it's about interrogating that legislation and the law, because there are so many loopholes that exist where people who are supposed to service queer people or every individual, every human being have got some law that protects them from being able to give us access to our rights. So we need to now even more go in depth with that conversation and ask people to review some of these things, and how do we make changes to them? How do you make sure that when I do walk into a home affairs as a queer person who wants to get married, you don't have the excuse of saying to me, my beliefs, my cultural beliefs don't allow me to marry? How do you make sure that when I walk into a space, you don't offer me a ladies and gentlemen's toilet? You can also give me the option of a gender neutral toilet, I think there's a lot of things that we need to discuss at access of services across all service providers. How do I walk into a police station and feel protected, because I'm walking to a space where I don't want to receive secondary victimization in that space. So how do we get to a point where we infiltrate and we start unpacking and we start finding ways to unlearn everything else that we've been thinking is right, and start shaping a better and a more inclusive and a more empowering society and community for everyone to coexist.
Let's talk about the different categories, these awards. Any categories that are quite interesting, or new categories that we should look forward to?
Particularly responding to those things. So there's a Best LGBTI Initiative in the public sector, as well as Best LGBTI Initiative in the private sector, LGBTI Initiative in the varsity and institutions of higher learning. And my favorite one is around rainbow parenting, because I think that conversation also needs to shift past just me and you who are queer bodies. It must be a conversation that my mother can have with other mothers who are raising rainbow children, and find better ways of, you know, empowering their children who identify differently.
Okay.
Yeah.
So give us the details of the festival.
Festival is happening on the 18th and 19th of October. People can buy tickets on web ticket. Very easy and very cheap. Weekend pass is 150 and day pass at the gate is $100. So come out. It's at One Fox in Johannesburg CBD. Also because that space is one that, you know, that it's a shared space, and you need to create it as a safe space for queer people to also exist in that area. So I think this is one other way that we try and make sure that we diversify and we create more spaces for us. So yeah, people must come through. You too, you must come through. You must buy tickets. Feel free to sponsor tickets for other queer bodies that may not actually be in a position to allow themselves or to afford that experience. I think it's going to be great.
You know, Thami, you've been doing the most for the LGBTI community, and all the best in this festival.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for chatting to us.
Cool.
Well, that was activist, philanthropist and entrepreneur Thami Kotlolo, and he's the founder of the prestigious annual Feather Awards. Now, this two-day festival is scheduled for Friday the 18th and Saturday the 19th of October, and it'll showcase an abundance of fashion, food and music for all to enjoy. All right, this is Morning Live. It is 8:43. Let's take a quick break. We'll be right back.